Audiobook names common sex mistakes written and published by Dr. Prashant. Overview of the book. Common Sex Mistakes is a heartfelt and open guide to understanding the intimate world of sex in a real and relatable way. It's not about fancy words or complicated theories. This book is about addressing the everyday struggles and misunderstandings that both men and women face in their sexual lives. From the emotional aspects of connecting with your partner to the physical pleasures and challenges, each chapter dives deep into topics that are often whispered about but rarely discussed openly. This book focuses on creating a safe, respectful space for lovers to learn, explore, and communicate without judgment. Special attention is given to the unique needs and desires of women, helping readers better understand their partner and themselves. This is not just a guide to avoid mistakes, it's a journey toward better intimacy, deeper connections, and stronger self-awareness. Whether you're a curious beginner or someone looking to revive their sexual spark, the book offers real, relatable insights that can change how you view sex, pleasure, and your relationships. It's packed with raw truths, practical tips, and meaningful conversations to help readers grow in love and intimacy. Chapter 1. The Sex of Communication, Talking Without Awkwardness. When it comes to sex, one of the most common mistakes couples make is not talking about it openly. Many people feel shy, embarrassed, or even scared to discuss their needs, desires, or concerns. But the truth is, communication is the foundation of great sex. Without it, misunderstandings happen, needs go unmet, and intimacy can feel mechanical or forced. Talking about sex may feel awkward at first, but once you open that door, it leads to deeper trust, stronger connections, and more fulfilling experiences for both partners. Talking about sex doesn't have to feel clinical or overly serious. In fact, the best sexual conversations are natural and even playful. The key is to create an environment where both partners feel safe to express themselves without fear of judgment. For example, instead of waiting until there's a problem, you can start with a positive approach. Share something you enjoy about your partner or a specific moment that made you feel loved and connected. From there, you can ease into discussing things you might want to explore together or areas where you feel there's room for improvement. One of the most important aspects of sexual communication is understanding your partner's needs and preferences. This is especially crucial when it comes to women, whose sexual pleasure can sometimes be misunderstood or overlooked. Women's bodies are beautifully complex, and learning about them takes time, patience, and curiosity. For example, many people have heard about the G-spot, but not everyone knows what it really is or how to find it. The G-spot, short for Grafenberg spot, is an area located a few inches inside the vagina, on the upper wall toward the belly button. It's not a button you press, it's more of a sensitive area that, when stimulated correctly, can enhance pleasure significantly. However, the G-spot isn't a magical shortcut to orgasm for every woman. Some women find it intensely pleasurable, while others may not feel much at all. The key is to communicate and experiment together to understand what feels good for her. A great way to explore the G-spot is by starting with open communication before and during intimacy. Ask your partner how she feels, what she enjoys, and whether she'd like to try something new. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to experience pleasure, so creating a judgment-free zone is essential. If she's open to exploring her G-spot, you can start by making her feel completely comfortable and relaxed. A woman's pleasure often depends on how emotionally safe and connected she feels with her partner. Many women need time to get fully aroused before they can enjoy deeper stimulation. Rushing into penetration without adequate arousal can make her feel uncomfortable, physically and emotionally. This is where foreplay becomes an essential part of sexual communication. Ask her what she likes during foreplay and pay attention to her body language. Kissing, touching, and other intimate gestures can help her relax and build excitement. When you're ready to explore her G-spot, go slow and check in with her often. You can use your fingers in a gentle, curved motion to stimulate the area, but remember that every woman's body responds differently. Some women might prefer a firmer touch, while others might enjoy lighter pressure. Always pay attention to her reactions and ask how she's feeling. This is not about performing or achieving anything. It's about connecting with her and discovering what brings her pleasure. Talking during intimacy can feel vulnerable, but it's one of the most powerful ways to connect with your partner. Simple phrases like, "Does this feel good?" or "Do you want me to try something else?" can make a huge difference in how she experiences the moment. If she's not sure how to respond, reassure her that there's no pressure. The more you practice open communication, the easier it will become for both of you to share your feelings and desires. It's also important to remember that sexual communication doesn't end in the bedroom. After an intimate moment, take the time to talk about how it felt for both of you. You can ask questions like, "What did you enjoy most?" or "Is there anything you'd like to try next time?" These conversations can strengthen your bond and give you valuable insights into what your partner truly enjoys. One common mistake people make is assuming they already know what their partner wants. This can lead to misunderstandings and missed opportunities for deeper intimacy. For example, just because your partner enjoys one type of touch doesn't mean she doesn't want to explore other areas of pleasure. By keeping the lines of communication open, you can continuously learn about each other and keep your sexual connection fresh and exciting. If you or your partner feel shy about talking openly, you're not alone. Many people grew up in environments where sex was a taboo subject, making it harder to discuss as adults. But the good news is, you can unlearn that discomfort. Start small, and don't be afraid to laugh at yourselves if the conversation feels awkward at first. Humor can be a great way to ease tension and make the discussion feel more natural. Finally, remember that great sexual communication is a two-way street. It's not just about expressing your needs, but also about listening to your partner with patience and empathy. Sometimes, your partner might not have the words to describe what she feels or wants. In those moments, your willingness to listen and explore together can make all the difference. When you embrace open and honest communication, sex becomes more than just a physical act. It becomes an intimate journey that brings you closer together. By talking without awkwardness and exploring each other's desires, you can create a sexual connection that is deeply satisfying and uniquely your own. Chapter 2: The Sex of Touch, Foreplay Mistakes You Didn't Know You're Making. Foreplay is often misunderstood, rushed, or overlooked entirely, yet it's one of the most essential parts of a deeply satisfying sexual connection. For many women, foreplay is not just a lead-up to sex, it's an experience in itself, one that lays the foundation for arousal, emotional intimacy, and ultimately, a more fulfilling climax. Sadly, many people make mistakes during this crucial phase, either due to lack of awareness or the pressure to move straight to intercourse. Understanding the nuances of foreplay, especially how it connects to her pleasure zones, can elevate your intimacy to a new level. One of the most common mistakes in foreplay is rushing through it or treating it as an obligation. Good foreplay takes time, patience, and attention. It's about exploring your partner's body in a way that makes them feel wanted and respected. This is particularly important for women, whose bodies often require a more gradual buildup to reach full arousal. Skipping this step or moving too quickly can leave her feeling disconnected and unsatisfied, even if she pretends otherwise to avoid hurting feelings. Foreplay is your opportunity to show her that her pleasure matters and that you're willing to invest the time to make her feel cherished. Another mistake is focusing only on the obvious areas, like her breasts or genitals, without considering the rest of her body. A woman's entire body is a playground of sensitive spots, and exploring these can create anticipation and excitement. For instance, kissing her neck, running your fingers along her spine, or gently touching her inner thighs can ignite sensations that build gradually. Pay attention to how she responds to your touch, and let her reactions guide you. Every woman is different, so what works for one might not work for another. The key is to be present, engaged, and willing to adapt to her unique needs. One of the most misunderstood aspects of foreplay is the G-spot. Located a few inches inside the vagina on the front wall, the G-spot is an area of heightened sensitivity for many women, though not all experience the same level of pleasure from it. To stimulate the G-spot, gentle, rhythmic pressure works better than rough or overly fast movements. Use your fingers or a toy to explore this area, and pay close attention to her verbal and nonverbal cues. If she moans, breathes heavier, or arches her back, you're likely on the right track. Communication is vital here. Asking her what feels good and being open to her guidance can make all the difference. The G-spot, however, is not the only pleasure zone that deserves attention. Many women find incredible pleasure in clitoral stimulation, which is often the quickest way to arousal. The clitoris has thousands of nerve endings and responds well to light, consistent touch. Combine this with other forms of stimulation, such as kissing or massaging other parts of her body, to create a multisensory experience. Remember, variety is essential. Switching between different types of touch, from soft and teasing to firm and intentional, can keep things exciting and prevent monotony. Foreplay is also about creating an emotional connection. Women often need to feel relaxed and safe before they can fully enjoy physical intimacy. Taking the time to build trust, share laughter, and engage in meaningful conversations beforehand can set the stage for a more connected and passionate encounter. This emotional groundwork is as much a part of foreplay as the physical touch itself. Ignoring her emotional needs or being overly goal-oriented can turn what should be a pleasurable experience into something mechanical and unfulfilling. One of the biggest mistakes people make is not paying attention to the power of non-sexual touch during foreplay. Holding hands, caressing her face, or giving her a back massage can be incredibly intimate and help her transition from the stresses of the day into a more sensual mindset. Sometimes, foreplay begins hours before you enter the bedroom, through affectionate gestures like a lingering kiss, a playful whisper, or even cooking dinner together. These moments build anticipation and create a sense of closeness that enhances the physical experience. Another crucial aspect of foreplay is communication. Many people assume they know what their partner wants or needs without ever asking. This can lead to frustration and missed opportunities for pleasure. Ask her what she likes, and don't be afraid to share your own preferences. Make it a two-way conversation, not an interrogation. If she's shy about expressing herself, encourage her with positive reinforcement when she does open up. Over time, this will create a more trusting and enjoyable dynamic. Foreplay is not just about techniques. It's about energy and intention. If you're distracted, going through the motions, or thinking about the next step, she'll notice. Women are incredibly intuitive when it comes to sensing their partner's level of engagement. Be fully present in the moment, and make her feel like the center of your attention. Slow down, breathe with her, and let the experience unfold naturally. Rushing or trying to force arousal can kill the mood faster than anything. Lastly, It's important to remember that foreplay doesn't have to lead to sex every time. Sometimes, the act of touching, kissing, and exploring each other is fulfilling enough on its own. Removing the expectation of intercourse can take the pressure off both partners and allow them to focus on simply enjoying each other's company. This kind of intimacy can strengthen your connection and make future sexual experiences even more rewarding. Foreplay is an art, and like any art, it requires practice, patience, and a willingness to learn. By avoiding common mistakes and focusing on what truly makes your partner feel good, you can transform your intimate moments into something deeply meaningful and unforgettable. Remember, the goal is not just to turn her on, but to make her feel loved, valued, and completely in tune with you. When you master the art of foreplay, you open the door to a more passionate and satisfying relationship for both of you. Chapter 3: The Sex of Timing. Slow and steady wins the game. In today's fast-paced world, even our intimate moments can feel rushed. Many couples unknowingly carry this hurried energy into the bedroom, missing out on the magic of truly taking their time. Sex isn't a race, it's an experience that thrives on patience, attention, and connection. For women especially, timing plays a crucial role in their arousal and satisfaction. Rushing can lead to a disconnect, leaving one partner feeling unfulfilled while the other might not even realize it. Slow and steady isn't just advice for life, it's a principle that can transform your sex life. Women's bodies are beautifully intricate and take time to respond fully to sexual stimulation. This is not a flaw but a reflection of how emotional, mental, and physical factors intertwine in their arousal. Men, on the other hand, are often quicker to reach their peak. Understanding this difference is key to ensuring both partners enjoy the experience. When you slow things down, you give her body the time it needs to respond, and this patience often leads to more profound, more satisfying pleasure for both of you. A significant part of slowing down involves focusing on foreplay. Many people mistakenly treat foreplay as something optional or a quick prelude to intercourse, but it's so much more than that. For women, foreplay is often where the real arousal begins. It's about exploring her body, awakening her senses, and building anticipation. Every kiss, every touch, and every whispered word is part of the journey. Skipping this step or rushing through it can leave her feeling unsatisfied, even if the rest of the experience is enjoyable. One area where timing and patience make a huge difference is understanding and stimulating the G-spot. The G-spot, located a few inches inside the vaginal canal on the upper wall, is often misunderstood or overlooked. While it doesn't work the same way for every woman, for many, it can be a source of intense pleasure when stimulated correctly. The key to finding and stimulating the G-spot is taking your time. Rushing will not only make her feel uncomfortable but can also lead to frustration for both partners. To begin, it's essential to ensure she's fully aroused before attempting to explore her G-spot. This is where slow, intentional foreplay becomes critical. As she becomes more aroused, her body will relax, and the G-spot will become more pronounced, making it easier to locate and stimulate. Gentle, rhythmic movements using your fingers can help you find the spot. Once you do, communication is vital. Ask her what feels good and adjust your touch accordingly. This isn't about performing a trick, it's about creating a shared experience of exploration and connection. Slowing down also applies to intercourse itself. Many couples fall into the trap of focusing solely on penetration and chasing orgasms, often at the expense of deeper intimacy. Instead, take the time to explore different rhythms and movements, pausing to appreciate the sensations and emotions that arise. This not only heightens physical pleasure but also strengthens the emotional bond between partners. It's important to remember that slowing down doesn't mean a lack of passion. On the contrary, it allows passion to build naturally, creating a more profound and fulfilling experience. Think of it as a slow dance where every step, every glance, and every touch contributes to the overall beauty of the moment. When you let go of the pressure to perform or rush, you open the door to genuine connection and enjoyment. Women often need a combination of physical stimulation and emotional connection to feel truly satisfied. By slowing down, you give yourself the opportunity to focus on her needs and desires. Pay attention to her responses, her breath, her sounds, and her movements will tell you more than words ever could. When you're fully present and tuned into her, you'll know when to keep going, when to change direction, and when to pause. Slowing down isn't just about pleasing her, it's also about enhancing your own experience. When you take your time, you'll notice things you might have missed before. The way her body reacts to your touch, the way her skin feels against yours, the way her eyes light up when she's lost in the moment. These details make sex more than just a physical act. They make it an intimate, unforgettable experience. This approach also helps break the routine that many couples fall into over time. When you're not rushing, you're more likely to try new things, explore different parts of each other's bodies, and experiment with different sensations. This sense of curiosity and playfulness keeps the spark alive and prevents your sex life from becoming predictable or stale. Another benefit of slowing down is that it reduces performance anxiety. When you're not in a hurry, there's less pressure to get it right or reach a specific goal. Instead, you can focus on the journey and enjoy the moment for what it is. This shift in perspective can be incredibly liberating and can lead to more authentic, meaningful connections with your partner. In the end, the art of slow and steady lovemaking is about honoring your partner's body and mind. It's about creating a safe, comfortable space where both of you can explore, express, and enjoy without feeling rushed or judged. It's about rediscovering the beauty of intimacy and the joy of connecting on a deeper level. The G-spot may be a highlight, but it's just one part of the larger picture. True satisfaction comes from taking your time to understand your partner's unique needs and desires, building trust and anticipation, and savoring every moment of the experience. When you embrace the idea that sex is a journey rather than a destination, you open the door to a world of pleasure, intimacy, and connection that goes far beyond the physical. Chapter 4. The Sex of Understanding. Why Women Need Emotional Connection. Sex is not just a physical act, especially for women. It is deeply tied to emotions, trust, and how a person feels about their partner in a given moment. Many men assume that if there is physical attraction, everything else will fall into place. But for women, it is rarely that simple. Emotional connection plays a central role in their desire, arousal, and overall sexual satisfaction. Without it, even the most physically intense moments can feel hollow or disconnected. Understanding this truth is not only key to avoiding common mistakes but also to building a deeper bond in the bedroom and beyond. At its core, emotional connection means that a woman feels seen, valued, and understood. It starts long before the clothes come off. For many women, intimacy begins with the small, everyday moments. Compliments, genuine attention, shared laughter, and thoughtful gestures all lay the groundwork for sexual intimacy. If a woman feels emotionally neglected, she may find it harder to relax and open herself up to the physical experience. On the other hand, when she feels emotionally close to her partner, her body often responds more willingly and passionately. This emotional connection also ties directly to trust. Trust allows a woman to feel safe, and safety is crucial for her to fully surrender to the experience of pleasure. If a woman feels judged, rushed, or pressured, it creates a barrier that can make sex feel like a chore rather than a source of joy. This is why emotional foreplay is just as important as physical foreplay. A kind word, a reassuring smile, or simply listening to her can set the stage for a much deeper and more meaningful connection. Now let's talk about pleasure, specifically the concept of the G-spot. For many women, understanding and exploring their own bodies is a journey, and it can take time for them to discover what feels good. The G-spot, often described as an erogenous zone located inside the vagina, is a key part of this exploration. However, it is not the only source of pleasure for women, and treating it as a magic button can lead to disappointment or frustration. The G-spot is typically found about 2 to 3 inches inside the vagina on the upper wall, closer to the belly. For some women, stimulation in this area can create intense pleasure, even leading to a different type of orgasm compared to clitoral stimulation. But here is the important part. Not every woman experiences G-spot pleasure in the same way, and some may not find it as sensitive as others. This is where emotional connection becomes vital again. A woman who feels emotionally close to her partner is more likely to relax and communicate about what feels good to her, including whether or not G-spot stimulation is enjoyable. Finding and stimulating the G-spot is not just about technique, it is about paying attention to your partner's reactions and adjusting based on her feedback. Communication is essential. Instead of assuming what works, ask her. If she feels comfortable enough to guide you, the experience becomes a shared journey rather than a one-sided effort. This mutual exploration strengthens the emotional bond, making the physical experience even more rewarding for both partners. But it's not just about physical pleasure. Emotional connection also enhances how a woman perceives and remembers the sexual experience. When a woman feels emotionally in sync with her partner, the sensations become more profound, and the moments linger in her memory longer. She associates the pleasure not just with the act itself, but with the person she shared it with. This is why some of the most powerful sexual experiences aren't necessarily the ones with the most perfect moves, but the ones where two people feel deeply connected. Another important aspect to consider is vulnerability. Sex is an intimate act that requires both partners to let down their walls and be their true selves. For women, this vulnerability is often tied to how much they trust their partner emotionally. If a woman feels she can be herself without fear of judgment, she is more likely to open up sexually. This is why emotional connection isn't something you can fake or rush. It takes time, patience, and genuine effort to build. It's also worth mentioning that emotional connection doesn't end when the physical act is over. Aftercare, whether it's cuddling, talking, or simply holding each other, can reinforce the emotional bond. These moments of closeness reassure a woman that the connection she felt during sex wasn't fleeting and that her partner truly values her. Understanding the emotional side of sex isn't just about meeting a woman's needs, it's about enriching the experience for both partners. When you take the time to connect with her on a deeper level, you create a space where she feels safe, desired, and appreciated. This, in turn, allows her to express herself fully, both emotionally and physically. The mistake many people make is focusing solely on technique or performance in the bedroom. While these things have their place, they are secondary to the emotional connection that lays the foundation for great sex. For women, the emotional and physical are intertwined. When you nurture one, the other naturally follows. So, the next time you think about what makes a truly satisfying sexual experience, remember this. It starts with understanding. Listen to her, support her, and show her that you value her not just as a lover but as a person. Because when a woman feels emotionally connected, She is more likely to let go, embrace the moment, and share a level of intimacy that goes far beyond the physical. And that is where the magic of truly great sex begins. Chapter 5: The Sex of Exploring, Breaking the Routine. One of the biggest challenges that couples face in their sexual lives is the routine. Over time, habits form, comfort settles in, and before you know it, the once thrilling and passionate moments of intimacy become predictable and mechanical. While routine can offer a sense of security in many aspects of life, when it comes to sex, it can be the silent killer of excitement and desire. Breaking free from this routine is essential for keeping the spark alive, and one of the most exciting ways to do this is by exploring new territories together emotionally, physically, and even mentally. This chapter is all about discovering new ways to connect with your partner and reigniting that passion by stepping outside the comfort zone. One of the most crucial steps in breaking the sexual routine is to understand the importance of exploration. Exploring isn't just about trying different positions or settings, it's about getting to know each other's desires on a deeper level. Everyone has different preferences when it comes to sex, and it's important to be curious about what makes your partner tick. Sexual exploration can involve talking openly about fantasies, desires, and things you've always wondered about but never felt comfortable bringing up. Communication is the first step toward breaking the routine, as it helps uncover hidden desires or interests that you might have never considered. This type of conversation creates a safe space where both partners can be honest and open without fear of judgment. Exploration can also involve physical experimentation. Trying new positions, locations, or incorporating different elements like toys or roleplay can help revitalize a relationship. A change in the environment can make a world of difference. Moving from the bedroom to a different part of the house, or even planning a spontaneous getaway, can stimulate both the mind and body. Sometimes, the mere act of trying something new can instantly transform a dull experience into something exciting and fresh. For instance, setting the mood with candles, different types of music, or even a bit of light kink can add a layer of novelty that brings back passion. When it comes to the female body, exploration is not just about positions or new settings but also about discovering her pleasure zones. One of the most misunderstood yet vital areas of exploration is the G-spot. Located about 2 to 3 inches inside the vagina, along the anterior, front, wall, the G-spot is a sensitive area that, when stimulated correctly, can lead to intense pleasure or even orgasm. However, many people are unaware of its exact location, and even more fail to realize that women often need a certain type of stimulation to experience pleasure from it. The G-spot is often described as a slightly spongy or ridged area that can feel different from the rest of the vaginal walls. When touched, it may cause a sensation of pressure or fullness, which some women find incredibly pleasurable. The key to G-spot stimulation is gentle, consistent pressure. Unlike clitoral stimulation, which is more direct and can be easily adjusted, the G-spot requires a deeper, more exploratory touch. Some women may find this type of stimulation uncomfortable if rushed, so patience is crucial. Starting with lighter touches and gradually increasing the pressure is often more effective than going straight for the harder pressure that might seem like it's going to get the desired result. Each person's G-spot is different, and the amount of pressure needed can vary significantly. A common mistake when exploring the G-spot is focusing too much on the technique rather than on the shared experience. While technique is important, the mental and emotional connection between partners is what truly makes the experience fulfilling. It's important to check in with your partner, ask what feels good, and be open to feedback. Consent and communication should remain a constant, even in the heat of the moment, as it ensures that both people are comfortable and enjoying the experience. Another important part of the exploration is realizing that pleasure doesn't always happen immediately or in the way you might expect. For many women, reaching orgasm through G-spot stimulation requires more than just physical touch. It involves being emotionally engaged and relaxed. Stress or distractions can make it difficult for anyone to fully engage in the experience, so setting the mood and ensuring that both partners feel emotionally secure is critical. Exploration doesn't have to stop at the G-spot. A woman's body is filled with other sensitive areas that can contribute to sexual satisfaction. For example, the clitoris, which is often the focus of initial sexual exploration, should never be ignored in favor of deeper penetrative activities. The combination of clitoral and vaginal stimulation can sometimes offer a higher chance of orgasm for many women. The key here is balance, recognizing that a woman's pleasure isn't just about focusing on one part of her body but rather engaging with multiple areas of sensitivity. The breasts, neck, ears, and even the inner thighs can be erogenous zones that, when touched or kissed tenderly, can elevate sexual pleasure. The idea of exploration should also extend beyond just physical touch. It can include mental and emotional exploration as well. Understanding that sex is not merely about the act but about creating a deeper connection with your partner is essential. Exploring emotional intimacy, being vulnerable, and allowing your partner to express their needs and wants can lead to a richer, more fulfilling sexual experience. Trying to understand your partner's thoughts and feelings during sex, along with engaging in playful conversation or fantasy sharing, can help break free from the mundane. At the heart of breaking the routine is the willingness to be open. This openness is not just about trying new positions or exploring the G-spot. It's about being open to change, to growth, and to vulnerability. Every time you explore something new with your partner, you not only discover something about them but also something about yourself. The beauty of sexual exploration is that it's never truly finished. You can keep learning, growing, and discovering new things together, which ensures that passion stays alive and the routine never takes over. Chapter 6: The Sex of the Body, Understanding Her Pleasure. Understanding a woman's pleasure involves far more than just focusing on the physical act of sex. It's about recognizing the intricate connection between the mind and body and how arousal can be influenced by emotional, mental, and physical factors. This chapter aims to explore the female body's unique responses to sexual stimuli and give insights into the areas that are most sensitive, particularly the G-spot, which plays a crucial role in many women's sexual pleasure. One of the key elements in understanding female pleasure is recognizing that every woman is different. While there are certain general areas of sensitivity on the body, like the clitoris, breasts, and inner thighs, each woman's experience of pleasure is unique. There is no one-size-fits-all approach, and it's important to focus on learning what your partner enjoys and how she responds to touch. Physical exploration should always be guided by her comfort, consent, and clear communication. When it comes to pleasure, one of the most significant zones of sensitivity in the female body is the clitoris. This small, highly sensitive organ has more nerve endings than any other part of the body and is responsible for the majority of sexual pleasure for many women. While some women can reach orgasm solely through clitoral stimulation, others may need additional forms of touch or deeper engagement to fully experience satisfaction. Therefore, exploring different ways to stimulate the clitoris, including direct or indirect touch, oral sex, or even the use of sex toys, can be an important part of the process. However, it is essential to remember that while the clitoris is important, it is not the only area of focus for female pleasure. One of the most talked about but often misunderstood areas is the G-spot. The G-spot is believed to be a small, spongy area located about 2 to 3 inches inside the vagina, along the front wall. Many women report that stimulating the G-spot can lead to intense pleasure and, in some cases, vaginal orgasms. However, not all women have the same sensitivity in this area, and some may not experience the same level of pleasure from G-spot stimulation. Understanding the G-spot requires a bit of patience and exploration. The area itself is not a well-defined spot for every woman, and its location may vary slightly from person to person. To find it, gently insert 1 or 2 fingers into the vagina and curl them upward toward the front of the body. The texture of the G-spot is different from the surrounding vaginal tissue. It may feel slightly rougher or spongy. When it's stimulated, many women report a feeling of fullness or pressure, which can increase their arousal. Some women may need gentle pressure, while others may enjoy firmer or faster strokes. It's also important to note that the G-spot is not the only area where deep pleasure can be found inside the vagina. The cervix, the opening to the uterus, is another area that can create intense sensations for some women. While some women may find the stimulation painful or uncomfortable, others may enjoy it when the right amount of pressure is applied. The key to unlocking pleasure in these deeper areas is a combination of trust, communication, and being in tune with your partner's reactions. When it comes to female pleasure, it is essential to recognize the role of the mind. The psychological aspect of sex can significantly impact how a woman experiences pleasure. Emotional connection, trust, and feeling safe and desired can greatly enhance sexual experiences. For many women, mental arousal is just as important, if not more so, than physical arousal. Engaging in foreplay, meaningful conversation, and even sharing fantasies can all contribute to making a woman feel more in tune with her sexual self and help her experience more pleasure. The importance of communication cannot be overstated. Open, honest conversations about what feels good, what doesn't, and what a woman might like to try can help both partners navigate the sexual experience together. Many women may feel hesitant to express their desires for fear of judgment or rejection, but fostering an environment where both partners feel comfortable sharing their needs can deepen intimacy and lead to better sexual experiences. Communication can also help identify any areas of discomfort or sensitivity that may need to be addressed, such as whether certain positions or types of touch are preferable. Another key factor in understanding female pleasure is the role of the orgasm. While orgasm is a common goal during sex, it's important to remember that not every woman will reach orgasm every time they engage in sexual activity. This is perfectly normal and should not be viewed as a failure. For some women, reaching orgasm may require a combination of physical touch, emotional connection, and mental stimulation. Understanding that the journey is just as important as the destination can help both partners feel more satisfied with their sexual experience, regardless of whether an orgasm is achieved. There are also a variety of different techniques that can help enhance female pleasure. One popular method is the use of different positions during sex. Positions like doggy style or woman on top allow for deeper penetration, which can help stimulate both the G-spot and the cervix. For some women, the feeling of being in control during sex is also a key element of pleasure. Experimenting with different positions and paying attention to how your partner responds can lead to a better understanding of her desires. Additionally, some women may find pleasure in the use of sex toys, whether for external stimulation of the clitoris or internal stimulation of the G-spot. Vibrators, dildos, and other toys can be useful tools for exploration, providing added sensations that may not be achievable through manual stimulation alone. If you choose to incorporate toys into your sexual experiences, it's important to communicate with your partner about what feels good and how she prefers to use them. Ultimately, understanding a woman's pleasure is about paying attention, communicating openly, and being patient. The female body is a beautiful, complex system, and it may take time to discover what truly brings her satisfaction. Chapter 7: The Sex of Confidence. Loving yourself first. Confidence is one of the most alluring qualities a person can have, especially in the bedroom. The foundation of great sex starts with loving and accepting yourself. When you are confident in your body and your abilities, it allows you to connect with your partner on a deeper, more intimate level. Confidence isn't just about looking a certain way. It's about embracing who you are and being comfortable with your sexuality. This chapter dives deep into the importance of self-love, body confidence, and how that leads to better experiences in the bedroom, particularly when it comes to understanding and exploring female pleasure. A common mistake that many people make is relying on their partner to validate their attractiveness or sexual performance. However, self-confidence should come from within. It's crucial to recognize that everyone has unique qualities that make them beautiful and desirable. When you feel good about yourself, your mindset shifts. You stop worrying about how you look or if you're performing right. Instead, you focus on the connection you're creating with your partner, and this shift allows for a more relaxed, enjoyable sexual experience. The most attractive trait someone can have is a sense of self-assuredness, and this is especially true when it comes to sexual confidence. In the context of women, one of the most powerful ways to enhance self-love is by exploring their bodies and understanding their own sexual needs. Unfortunately, many women grow up without ever fully discovering what brings them pleasure. This lack of understanding can lead to insecurity or confusion during sex. Learning to embrace your body, touch yourself without shame, and explore your own desires is the first step toward better sex. Masturbation is not only a form of self-care but also a great way to discover your erogenous zones, including the elusive G-spot. The G-spot is a sensitive area located about 2 to 3 inches inside the vagina, on the front wall. For some women, stimulation of the G-spot can lead to intense pleasure and even orgasm. However, every woman is different, and not all women find pleasure from G-spot stimulation. This is where self-exploration comes in. Through masturbation, a woman can learn how her body responds to different types of touch and pressure. When you know what feels good to you, it becomes easier to communicate your needs with your partner, leading to a more satisfying experience for both of you. For many women, the idea of their G-spot can be a bit daunting, as there's often a misconception that all women should experience intense pleasure from it. This isn't true, and understanding that everyone's body is different is a key part of building confidence. If you've never been able to locate your G-spot or if it doesn't bring the pleasure you expect, it's important not to feel discouraged. Confidence in the bedroom comes from accepting your own pleasure on your own terms, not comparing it to unrealistic expectations. Just as every person has a different way of reaching orgasm, each woman's body will respond uniquely to different forms of stimulation. One of the most empowering things a woman can do is to understand her own pleasure. This allows her to not only experience greater satisfaction in her own body but also to communicate with her partner about what feels good. It's a shift from wondering if your partner is doing it right to taking control of your own experience and guiding them with confidence. Knowing how to stimulate your own G-spot, or simply learning which areas of your body bring you the most joy, can make a huge difference in sexual satisfaction. There's no need for shame or embarrassment in exploring your body. It's about discovering what makes you feel good and understanding that your pleasure is just as important as anyone else's. Another critical aspect of confidence in the bedroom is letting go of insecurities about body image. Many women struggle with self-esteem, especially regarding their bodies, and this can heavily influence how they experience sex. When you're constantly worried about how you look during sex or comparing yourself to unrealistic ideals, it creates emotional barriers that can block intimacy. Learning to embrace your body for what it is, regardless of imperfections, is a game changer. True sexual confidence doesn't depend on fitting into a particular mold or meeting external expectations. It comes from a place of self-love and acceptance. In relationships, confidence can lead to stronger emotional connections. When both partners feel secure and positive about themselves, they're more likely to open up and share their desires. In the bedroom, this openness translates into better communication. Instead of worrying about what your partner thinks of you, you can focus on the connection you're building together. Sexual confidence fosters trust, allowing both partners to be vulnerable without fear of judgment. When both people feel good about themselves, they are more likely to create a space of emotional safety, making sex more enjoyable and fulfilling. Self-confidence also helps when it comes to setting boundaries and advocating for your own pleasure. If something doesn't feel right or if you want to try something new, you should feel comfortable communicating that. When you are confident in yourself, you have the courage to express what you need and desire. This ensures that sex is a positive, consensual, and enjoyable experience for everyone involved. It's important to remember that confidence isn't about being perfect, it's about being comfortable with who you are, flaws and all. By accepting and loving yourself, you open up the space for deeper, more meaningful connections both inside and outside the bedroom. Ultimately, loving yourself first is the key to not just better sex, but a better life. When you feel confident in your own body, mind, and desires, you bring that energy into your sexual experiences. You stop trying to be someone you're not and start being the best version of yourself. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but with time, patience, and self-compassion, you can cultivate the kind of confidence that leads to more satisfying and meaningful relationships. Sexual confidence is a powerful thing. It comes from within and radiates outward, changing not just your sex life, but how you see yourself and the world around you. Chapter 8: The Sex of Consent. Listening to her yes and no. Consent is one of the most essential and often misunderstood aspects of a healthy sexual relationship. It's not just a formality or a box to check off before sex. It's the foundation on which everything else is built. When we talk about consent in the context of sex, we mean more than just a verbal yes or no. It's about communication, respect, understanding, and actively listening to your partner's needs and boundaries. Especially in intimate relationships, consent should be ongoing, enthusiastic, and mutual. This chapter will explore the importance of consent, how to navigate it with care, and how understanding your partner's body and desires, particularly those of women, can create a more meaningful and fulfilling sexual experience. One of the most crucial aspects of consent is that it is never implied or automatic. It's not something you assume based on past encounters. Just because your partner agreed to something before doesn't mean they are always comfortable with it. Consent should always be given explicitly and should be a continuous conversation throughout the sexual experience. It's essential to check in with your partner regularly, even if you're already deep in the moment. This can be as simple as asking, "Are you okay?" or "Do you want to keep going?" These small gestures of communication are not interruptions. Instead, they show care and respect. They ensure that both partners feel safe, respected, and empowered throughout the entire experience. Understanding consent also involves recognizing when your partner isn't comfortable. This is where body language becomes essential. Nonverbal cues like stiffening, pulling away, or a lack of enthusiasm may indicate that something isn't right. It's important to be aware of these signs and respond with care, always being prepared to stop if something doesn't feel right. It's equally important to understand that consent can be withdrawn at any moment, even during sex. If your partner expresses discomfort or says they want to stop, it's your responsibility to immediately respect that decision. Sexual intimacy should always be a space where both people feel in control and comfortable, and this requires a high level of trust and attentiveness. For many women, feeling emotionally and physically safe is critical to sexual enjoyment. Women often need a deeper level of connection and trust to feel fully open and engaged during sex. Therefore, understanding her needs and creating an environment of mutual respect and comfort can significantly enhance the sexual experience. One area that requires special attention is the G-spot, a part of female anatomy that is still somewhat shrouded in mystery but can be a source of intense pleasure for many women when properly stimulated. To understand how consent and pleasure intertwine, it's crucial to explore how the G-spot can be involved in intimate moments. The G-spot is located about 2 to 3 inches inside the vaginal canal on the anterior front wall. It's a small, spongy area that can swell and become more sensitive when aroused. For some women, G-spot stimulation can lead to powerful orgasms, and for others, it may not be as pleasurable. This variability underscores the importance of communication and consent. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to pleasure. G-spot stimulation can be achieved through different positions or by using fingers or sex toys, but how it's approached should always involve clear and open communication. Before trying to stimulate the G-spot, it's important to ask your partner how they feel about it. Some women might not be comfortable with this kind of stimulation, and that's perfectly okay. Others might enjoy it when done with care and patience. When you're exploring this area, it's crucial to ensure that your partner feels safe and in control. This means checking in often and paying attention to her verbal and nonverbal cues. If she feels pressure or discomfort, it's important to stop or adjust your approach. Consent isn't just about the initial go-ahead, it's about adapting to what your partner enjoys and feels comfortable with. G-spot stimulation, for example, should never feel forced. It should be an exploration, a journey, where both partners communicate about what feels good, what doesn't, and what might be worth trying next. Another aspect of understanding consent is acknowledging that pleasure doesn't always happen in a linear or predictable way. For many women, orgasms can be elusive or complicated. The G-spot may be one area of focus, but other erogenous zones, such as the clitoris, breasts, and inner thighs, can be just as important in the overall experience. Each woman's body is unique, and what works for one person may not work for another. That's why consent and communication are so vital. What feels right and pleasurable one day might not feel the same the next. This means that every encounter is a new opportunity to learn about your partner's desires and boundaries. For women, the mental and emotional aspects of sex are deeply intertwined with the physical. Stress, anxiety, and unresolved emotions can all affect sexual enjoyment and comfort. Therefore, creating a relaxed, supportive atmosphere is crucial for ensuring that consent is not only given but is also freely and fully experienced. When your partner feels emotionally secure and trusted, they are more likely to be open to exploring their desires, including G-spot stimulation or other forms of pleasure. This is why listening to her feelings and respecting her emotional needs is just as important as physical consent. In addition, it's essential to remember that consent should be fluid and evolving throughout the entire sexual experience. Just because she agreed to one thing doesn't mean that agreement extends to everything. If at any point she expresses hesitation, discomfort, or a change of mind, you need to stop and reassess. Sometimes, physical actions may feel great at the moment but become uncomfortable over time. Respecting those boundaries and responding with care makes the sexual experience a mutually respectful and positive one. Chapter 9: The Sex of Recovery: Handling Mistakes in Bed. Sexual intimacy is a beautiful, complex experience that often carries with it an expectation of perfection. But in reality, mistakes are part of the process. Whether it's an awkward moment, a misstep, or simply a miscommunication, mistakes can happen to anyone. The key is how we handle them. This chapter is about embracing the inevitable imperfections of sex, learning to laugh at the awkward moments, and moving forward with confidence and connection. The most important thing to remember is that sex is not about achieving perfection, but about building intimacy, trust, and enjoyment between partners. Many people fear making mistakes in bed, especially when it comes to performance or understanding their partner's needs. This fear can often create a sense of pressure, leading to more stress and anxiety, which in turn makes it even harder to relax and enjoy the moment. In truth, mistakes are part of the learning curve in any sexual relationship. It's important to embrace them, talk about them with your partner, and use the experience to improve the next time around. One common mistake is the focus on performing rather than experiencing the moment. Many people feel the need to live up to expectations, whether they are self-imposed or based on unrealistic portrayals of sex in media. This can lead to anxiety or overthinking, which prevents both partners from fully connecting with each other. The truth is, there's no one right way to have sex, and your relationship with your partner will be unique to you. The best way to handle mistakes is to approach them with a sense of humor, understanding, and openness. One area where mistakes often happen is in understanding what your partner needs and enjoys. For many women, it's important to understand the significance of her G-spot, a part of her anatomy that, when stimulated properly, can lead to intense pleasure. However, not every woman feels the same way about G-spot stimulation. Some women may find it incredibly pleasurable, while others might not experience the same sensation. Misunderstanding her response or pushing too hard in the wrong area can lead to frustration. That's why communication is vital. If your partner is not responding the way you expect or want, rather than becoming discouraged, try adjusting your approach or simply ask for feedback. Exploring different types of touch or pressure, adjusting positions, or taking the time to focus on other erogenous zones may help both partners feel more relaxed and connected. The G-spot, located a few inches inside the vagina on the anterior wall, is often discussed as a powerful source of pleasure for many women. However, not every woman's G-spot is in the same location or as responsive as others. It's important to keep in mind that each body is different, and what might work for one person may not work for another. Patience and gentle exploration are essential in discovering what feels best for her. Communication during sex can help both partners understand whether more pressure, a change of angle, or a shift in rhythm is needed. If you're not sure where to focus, start by exploring other erogenous zones like the clitoris or the labia. With time and mutual trust, you and your partner can better understand each other's bodies and pleasures. One key mistake that many couples make is not taking enough time to explore each other's sexual desires and boundaries. Rushing into penetration or certain positions without checking in with your partner can lead to discomfort or disappointment. Take time to warm up your partner, ensuring she is physically and emotionally ready for sex. It is essential to realize that not every woman will experience pleasure in the same way, nor will every woman's G-spot always react the same way. For some, G-spot stimulation may not be as enjoyable as clitoral stimulation, and that's perfectly okay. Each woman's body is unique, and the most important thing is finding a rhythm that works for both partners. Another common mistake is focusing too much on orgasm as the ultimate goal. While orgasms are a wonderful part of sex, they should not be the only measure of success. Sometimes, it's easy to get caught up in trying to make sure your partner orgasms in a certain way or within a certain amount of time, but this often leads to frustration or feeling like sex is a performance. Instead, focus on the journey of intimacy and pleasure, and the orgasm will come naturally. Relaxing, having fun, and enjoying the connection between you and your partner will lead to a far more fulfilling experience than obsessing over a specific outcome. Handling mistakes during sex also involves being attuned to your partner's emotional and physical cues. If something isn't working, whether it's a position or a type of touch, it's okay to pause and reassess. Sometimes, simply checking in with each other asking, "How does that feel?" or "Would you like to try something different?" can go a long way in ensuring that both partners are comfortable and enjoying the experience. In many cases, a small adjustment can make all the difference. If a mistake happens, whether it's an accidental awkward moment or a perceived failure in performance, don't let it derail the entire experience. If you or your partner feel embarrassed or disappointed, it's important to talk about it openly afterward, but don't make it the focus of the moment. Instead of allowing it to create tension or distance, use humor or a positive frame of mind to reset the situation. Sex should be fun and enjoyable for both partners, and a mistake shouldn't define the entire experience. Another aspect of recovery is acknowledging that sometimes things just don't go as planned, and that's perfectly fine. Stress or exhaustion can impact your ability to be fully present during sex, and that's something that happens to everyone. If one of you is tired, distracted, or feeling off, it's okay to slow things down or take a break. Sometimes, simply holding each other or enjoying quiet intimacy without the pressure of performance can lead to a deeper connection and a more fulfilling experience. Chapter 10: The Sex of Forever, Building Intimacy Beyond the Bedroom. True intimacy is built on more than just physical connection. In fact, the most enduring relationships are those where emotional and mental intimacy thrive just as much as the sexual bond. In this chapter, we explore how building intimacy beyond the bedroom can lead to a stronger, more connected relationship that benefits both partners, creating a lasting, fulfilling love life. When most people think about sex, they immediately focus on the physical act itself. However, sex is just one expression of the deeper intimacy that exists between two people. True connection is cultivated over time, with shared experiences, trust, and understanding. This is the foundation of lasting intimacy, and it begins long before you step into the bedroom. Emotional intimacy is the cornerstone of a strong sexual relationship. It's about understanding your partner's needs, fears, and desires, and being open to expressing your own. Many relationships falter when partners don't feel emotionally connected. When this emotional gap exists, it's hard for the sexual aspect of the relationship to flourish. Women, in particular, often need this emotional bond before they can fully open up in the bedroom. This means that the best sexual experiences usually occur when both partners feel loved, supported, and heard outside of the physical interaction. It's about having conversations that go beyond superficial topics, sharing vulnerabilities, and being there for one another through life's challenges. If you create this kind of emotional intimacy, your sexual relationship will naturally deepen. Physical intimacy, of course, still plays a huge role, but it doesn't always have to be about intercourse. Small acts of affection like holding hands, hugging, or kissing throughout the day can strengthen the bond between you. These little moments of closeness foster a sense of safety and warmth, making it easier to express your sexual needs and desires. It's important to recognize that touch, in all its forms, isn't limited to the bedroom. By engaging in these moments of physical connection during the day, you remind each other that intimacy is more than just an act, it's a way of being. One of the key aspects of deepening intimacy is also exploring and understanding each other's sexual desires. Many people make the mistake of thinking that sex will just happen without the need for communication or exploration. The reality is, a lot of sexual satisfaction comes from understanding what excites your partner, particularly when it comes to their body and their sexual preferences. This includes the physical side, but also how the emotional and mental aspects of sex are intertwined. Understanding how your partner's body responds can lead to more satisfying and exciting experiences for both of you. For women, this often means understanding the importance of their G-spot and how it relates to overall sexual pleasure. The G-spot, often referred to as the female prostate, is a highly sensitive area located on the front wall of the vagina. When stimulated correctly, it can lead to intense pleasure and even orgasms. Some women experience powerful orgasms from G-spot stimulation alone, while others find it to be a complementary part of their overall sexual experience. It's important to note that not all women have the same response to G-spot stimulation, but for those who do, it can be a game changer. Building intimacy by learning how to communicate about what feels good and what doesn't is essential. The key here is patience and exploration. G-spot stimulation can be incredibly rewarding, but it often requires a deep connection and mutual understanding between partners. It is essential to approach this exploration with care and mutual consent, focusing on creating a safe environment where both partners feel comfortable and respected. However, physical touch and exploration are only one part of the equation. As much as physical connection is important, emotional intimacy will continue to be the glue that holds everything together. This emotional connection is cultivated not just through communication, but through actions that demonstrate care, love, and respect. Acts of kindness, thoughtfulness, and support in everyday life make a huge difference in building lasting intimacy. It's easy to get caught up in daily routines, but taking the time to make your partner feel appreciated and valued outside of sexual contexts is crucial. Couples who thrive in their relationships often find that they share common goals, values, and interests. These shared experiences go beyond the bedroom and create a sense of unity and collaboration. Whether it's traveling, cooking together, or even engaging in hobbies you both enjoy, these experiences build deeper connections that make your sexual relationship more fulfilling. When you build a life together outside of the bedroom, it creates a strong foundation for emotional and sexual intimacy. When you enjoy spending time together in different ways, you'll feel closer, and that closeness naturally extends to your sex life. Moreover, maintaining intimacy in a long-term relationship requires ongoing effort. It's not about finding a magical formula for perfect sex or perfect connection, it's about making consistent efforts to keep the bond alive. The best couples make time for each other, keep the lines of communication open, and are always willing to learn and grow together. It's also essential to revisit your sexual needs and desires regularly. As people change, so do their preferences. Regularly checking in with your partner about what feels good and what could improve keeps the intimacy fresh and exciting. Intimacy beyond the bedroom also involves supporting each other's personal growth and development. Encouraging your partner to pursue their dreams and hobbies fosters a sense of individual fulfillment, which, in turn, strengthens the relationship. When both partners feel confident and fulfilled outside the relationship, it creates a healthier and more balanced dynamic. This makes the sexual connection more satisfying because both people bring their best selves to the relationship. Lastly, never underestimate the importance of keeping things playful and lighthearted. Laughter and humor are important aspects of intimacy.